instead of allowing it to consume you. And I think for me, coming out of college, I ended up having to take a trip. I took a trip to London by myself because I knew that if I didn't do something really major in my life to help me extract myself from the like stew of anxiety, if I didn't do something to try and improve my confidence and make me a slightly more outward facing person, that it would stand in the way of my hopes and dreams. And so I did, and it was really scary and ultimately life changing for the better, because when I came back from that trip, I had a little bit more confidence than I had before. I had taken a risk that felt like the right decision. And I came back to Toronto, and MTV was casting, and I decided to throw my hat in the ring. I would never have had even the faintest desire or confidence to do that prior to that trip.
Right.
Came back, and there was something about I decided kind of within that time that I was never going to hide who I was or what I liked and what I didn't like. I was never going to hide my personality again. I'd spent too much time doing it. And so when I walked into that audition, I was myself, whether they liked it or not. At the end of the day, if I'm not the person they want to hire, they're not going to hire me. So all I can do is present my authentic self as clearly as I possibly can, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. I ended up getting the job. I was there for 8 years. It lifted me to a level of kind of personal and professional success that I never thought possible. And then I left MTV, and at that point had 8 years on television. I had 8 years of producing television. I was writing my own stuff. I was editing my own stuff. And I do feel like the dots that I'm connecting here is that when I started Schitt's Creek, which happened about a year and a half after I left MTV, wanting to act and stop hosting, I realize now what I didn't realize then was that all of those skills that I had acquired at MTV, all of the kind of grassrootsy approach that we had being this small network in Canada, ended up playing into my skills as a showrunner. Because you do need to be able to edit. You need to be able to, produce things from nothing. You do need to understand what it's like to build something from scratch. So it all kind of traces back. And I think the more successful that I've become, the more the more that my instincts have been validated. They haven't gone away. Like, the fears haven't gone away. But the choice to just say, okay, this is who I am. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. Has only, that confidence has only sort of built and grown as I've flexed those muscles more.
So if you rewind back to that MTV audition where you rolled in, you said, "I'm me, this is who I am, take it or leave it," and then you actually got the job. What was that feeling? Was it a weight off your shoulders, almost validation of like, hey, I can make this easier or harder, or hey, people see me for who I am and I can be rewarded for that? What was that like?
It was a combination of both. I think anyone that struggles with anxiety will know what I'm talking about, in the sense that in a way, I was rewarded for choosing to be myself. But then came the next hurdle of actually doing the job. I think people who suffer from anxiety, it never stops being, you just find other ways of other places to put the anxiety. And so for me, it was, I was anxious about the audition. They were kind of doing this competition at the time where they gave each of us $100 and told us to spend it and come back and to explain what you've spent the money on. And, everyone was kind of buying their favorite CDs at the time. This was a long time ago. But they were, buying a yoga mat because they were into yoga. And at the time, I was working at a video store hopefully people remember what those are. And it was also kind of it was like a, you could pay your cable bills and you could pay your, like, it was like a cable,
Yeah.
one of those sort of conglomerate things. And so I paid my cable bill. I like took the $100 and paid
Nice.
my bill for the month because I had bills to pay. And
Yeah.
so I went back with this receipt and I thought, well, this is either going to be an endearing thing or this is going to get me kicked off this whole thing. And they liked it. And so again, it was flexing the creative elements of my brain too, saying like, well, where's the cross section of like what I want to present as myself, but also understanding like who I could be as a person on television. And that kind of self-deprecation and self-awareness is something that I have to have. I have such an aversion to inauthenticity that it was that, again, that decision was part of the whole thing. I thought if they're going to go for this and they like this, then they're going to like what I'm going to bring to the table if I have the space to run free with my own kind of thoughts and impulses. But yeah, then it was basically, I would say it took me about a year and a half to finally ease in to the job and not be overly critical or overly analytical. But you persevere. I think the worst thing we can do is let our fears stand in our way. Because, there's something kind of exciting about pushing through the fear, as intimidating as it can be.
Everything that we just talked about, circumstance is sort of what has kind of painted your vision of, how you go about things. I mean, would you say that that's sort of relevant to anybody?
Yeah, I think circumstance can either help you or hurt you, but either way, it doesn't define you. And so for me, it's good and or bad. Circumstance has always been something that I've had to keep in my mind as to like decipher, am I feeling, discouraged because why? What exactly is it? Is it ego based? Is it something physical? Is it what is the core of what I'm feeling? And when you can pinpoint that, you realize a lot of times it's circumstantial. It's like I'm in a bad place. I'm struggling to find like an example of it, but I think a lot of us feel defined by our circumstances when in actuality, if we kind of if you have the means to, and again, that's a larger conversation about it's about having means as well and opportunity, which there's a lot of people that don't get the same opportunity as the people who are always front and center. I mean, that's kind of a given. So you, in a way, you, depending on where you sit in in that conversation, you have to know that you're going to have to work twice as hard, to get what you want, but just to never succumb to circumstance.
So building on that, you decided one day that you would sit down and you would create a world with characters and you would pursue all these different creative outlets, and you've since impacted a lot of people's lives. What advice do you have, kind of building on this idea of circumstance and running after things and kind of accepting who you are, kind of what advice would you give to people who have big dreams and big ideas and want to go pursue them and might be afraid to?
Follow through, despite your circumstance, will get you places. If you want to do something, if you want to make something, if you want to write something, if you want to build something, find a way of getting it done. Because I think so many people don't follow through. They have an idea, they have big ideas, they have a product idea, they have a movie idea, and they never sit down to actually do it. So
Right.
if you can execute whatever it is you want to do, if you want to write a book, write the book. A lot of people say, well, I don't know how to write the book. I don't know how to do this. There are so many, the internet is a treasure trove of resources to help people figure it out. I installed a dimmer switch at my house. I know nothing about electronics or any of that, but the internet was there to help me do that. if you want to make something, there are ways of going about learning how to do it. Because at the end of the day, say you write a movie and it's absolute crap and it doesn't sell, you've gone through that process of writing a script, which is invaluable. So the next time you go back to write your next idea, you're going to feel that much more confident and comfortable in the process. So, and you can't get an, in terms of entertainment, you can't get an agent, you can't have conversations, you can't pitch anything unless you have that idea, unless you've thought it through, unless you've gone the extra mile. So it's a really unremarkable thing to say to people, but it's quite literally true. Nobody follows through. And I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I'd be good at that, or I don't know. There is a desire in you to do it. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It doesn't matter what you think. If you want to do something, do it. It's a simple thing. It's wild to think about all the times that we've prevented ourselves or stopped ourselves from doing things that we liked.
So last question, and you sort of hinted at it by mentioning this dimmer switch you installed. The fact that you didn't get electrocuted is shocking. I tried to install a switch one time and it didn't go well. So because we're an IT company.
No, you should. I mean, I was wearing gloves at the time. I was taking like very good precaution. But this person on YouTube walked me through the whole process, and it was great.
So my question for you is, because we're an IT company, I got to ask, if you look back on whether it's that experience or anything else, what has been either like the weirdest, worst, strangest, technology or IT related challenge you've ever run into?
All of it. Nothing comes easy for me. I can't install stuff. I don't know how to work things. I can barely turn my computer on. It's, my brain is not programmed to figure that kind of thing out. So I'm always impressed by people who are able to understand and harness technology in a really wonderful way, because it's a trick. I just figured out how to back up my phone.
Nice.
So there's that.
Awesome. Well, Dan, thanks so much. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I think everybody enjoyed watching this, and just
Thanks for having me. This was a great chat.
Keep being an inspiration. We love it. Thanks.
Thank you.
This is the beginning of an awesome day. We have such an incredible lineup of speakers. If you want to know what's happening, just head over to the schedule tab to see the agenda. Remember to share your favorite experiences and takeaways on social media. We have a ton of great prizes that we're giving away. #Elevate.